Hello there. Before I start this video, I'm going to start out with a pretense. I know the countless horrible things that have been done wrong in the United States. I know all the videos and the clips, and so do you. So I don't want any Australian to think I'm, like singling out Australia. I absolutely don't want that. I love Australia and Australians. I'd like to get there someday. It looks like I never will, for obvious reasons. I actually have been told, literally, no exaggeration, by well over, easily over 500 Australians via email and comment. They say stuff like this comment, which I just got an hour ago. I said I was going to tell everybody about something, and this lady in Australia, she's in Melbourne, she says, you notice I said Melbourne instead of Melbourne. She said, please do. I'm in tears writing this message. We feel violated, defenseless, and alone here in Australia. Let the world know what's happening to us. I've actually, in just slightly different words, no exaggeration, hundreds of times I've been told that by Australians. I kid you not, it's been hundreds. It's almost exactly verbatim what this lady said an hour ago in a comment to me. So, once again, I'm not picking on Australia. There's a video out there. I watched it over a dozen times. There was a protest in Melbourne. There might have also too been in Sydney, and they did shut down the public transport, and they kept people from coming into the city. I know for a fact because lots of Australians are telling me that they're blocking their social media accounts if they tell people stuff. Not like, say, radical stuff, just like what's going on. I know that for a fact that social media is blocking outgoing social media posts out of Australia depending on, I guess it's triggering keywords in the algorithm. Anyway, there's a protest. There's an old woman. I don't know what her age is. You could tell she's an elderly lady, at least 70. There's a video, too, a copy of it on Aussie Cossack's channel. He didn't film it. I forget the guy that did film it. She's just standing her ground, and the cops are advancing. She's wearing an Australian flag around her neck, and she's wearing a red jacket. She is elderly. There's a close-up picture of her, I think, before this goes down at her person by these cops. So she's wearing an Aussie flag, so they standing her ground. They spray her in the face with, I don't know if it's tear gas or pepper spray. It's the foaming kind, which sticks. It's a special type of foaming pepper spray or tear gas. It could have been CS or CN, but it could have just been pepper spray. After they sprayed her, and I said I watched this video over a dozen times. I just watched it over and over and over again, including the close-up. After they sprayed her, they pushed the old woman to the pavement as if that wasn't bad enough. She wasn't like, jabbing at police with anything. She had an Aussie flag. Talk about symbolic of what's going on in Australia. Aussie flag tied around her neck like a handkerchief. I mean, a kerchief, if you will. So after they spray her and push her to the pavement, they literally did. It wasn't like they bumped her and, she fell because she was elderly. They pushed her to the pavement. No ifs, ands, or buts. And then two cops, again, as she's laying on the pavement, her legs up in the air. No joke. Watch the video yourself. They spray her again. They lean down over top of her and spray her again with the nasty filth. There's actually LTLs is what that's called. It's called less than lethals, and there are engagement rules about using that stuff. And there are specific rules, and that can vary from province to province and state to state. I don't know Australia's rules on this. But they're called LTL rules of engagement, less than lethals. About what you can and can't, because when someone's down on the ground, you spray it, you're shooting it up their nose, and you can literally kill somebody doing that, and especially the foaming stuff. What happens with the foaming stuff, and nobody else notices because I know you don't know some of my history, but I used to work with various pieces of equipment, if you will, and studied up on this stuff, and half my family's in the police force. I actually know about stuff like this, believe it or not. The foaming I don't know if it's CS or CN or pepper spray. It doesn't really make any difference. When you spray somebody when they're down, the rules of engagement, of course, when force has been de-escalated. When you got an elderly woman on the ground, there was no force to begin with, of course. When it's been completely de-escalated, when you do that, the next person's action is going to be to inhale it, either through their nose or through their mouth. They're going to aspirate stuff, and it can kill them. This is when LTLs become actually lethal. Yes, I do know about stuff like this. What they did was indefensible. It was horrific. And once again, I'm not going after Australia, but Australia should be really ashamed of stuff like that. It is extreme. And then once again, I could point out a million things about the United States that are shameful, okay? I don't want you to think I'm singling out Australia. But Australia, you know, is extremely shameful. And of course, someone's going to say, well, Mike, you can't pin blame. I know Aussies don't like that, talk like that. Oh, you can't pin blame on all of Australia for the actions of a couple of slagger cops, you know, like stupid ones, you know. That's also true, but the other videos that I've seen over the past week, which people send to me in droves, lots of Australians send me videos, and that's not the only ones I see like that. That's just the one that was just demonstrably horrific, and it occurred yesterday. I saw the protest videos yesterday and what the cops were doing to people that were not elderly. They were doing, I mean, I'm going to make a declarative, subjective statement in that while those people were wearing uniforms and they're empirically cops, they're not actual cops. They're being traitors to their own citizens. If their mothers were standing there watching what they were doing, if they had 1 ounce of empathy or sympathy, either or both, they would be ashamed of themselves. It's so shameful what's going on. You know, we're not talking about, you know, like what happened here in America, where the cops have the right to like defend someone's property. You know, like someone is like setting a match to some property, you know, trying to burn it down. It's like, well, that's somebody's business and their livelihood. You know, then anybody with a half a brain can say, well, you know, the cops could, you know, whip out the tear gas and, you know, do whatever to stop it. I don't know about the laws in Australia on that, but I know what the laws are here in the United States, in most states on that. We're talking about peaceful protesters. They weren't throwing things and weren't throwing punches, what the cops were doing. And they're not cops. They're cops in name only. And what they were doing was indefensible. You know, let's tear gas old women, then push them to the ground. It was not an accidental bump. Push her to the ground and then did something that was truly, very easily potentially lethal. When you spray that foaming stuff and someone's faces are laying down, the next thing that person is going to do is reflexively aspirate it, suck it into their lungs, and that is easily lethal. That's not my opinion, that's a fact. It's called rules of engagement using LTLs, which are less than lethal. So, a bunch of Canadians sent me, a lot of big stuff is happening up in various provinces of Canada. Let's go to Alberta first. A bunch of people in Alberta told me they've gone into totalitarian lockdown and juice passport overdrive, and I confirmed that is the case. I just got this a few hours ago from several people in Saskatchewan. So they're telling me, and I read the publication from the government in Saskatchewan. It's a bunch of legalese, of course. Not that I can't read legalese, which I can. They're saying that there's essential martial law in the province of Saskatchewan as of September 13th. I had a friend over for dinner last night. She's a lawyer and extremely informed on what is taking place in Canada. That's what this person is telling me. She told me that they're now having snitch lines. You know, as the Australians call it, dobbing. I had no idea what the hell dobbing was. like a dog on your neighbor. So what? What the hell's that? So you snitch on somebody, okay? Yeah, I've never heard that term because that's the Aussie thing, you know. So anyway, up in Canada, they have snitch lines where people can report on their neighbors and others who are spreading dangerous information. It's not funny at all. I'm not laughing because it's funny. If this happens to you, you will be brought in for a psych evaluation. I need to have that confirmed. I can't confirm that. I can confirm, you know, the declaredness from the government on that paper, the state of emergency, and it's just a long list of, like, you know, it's like the world is ending. You know, it's like what a country would, a legal document that a country would put out to its citizens if we knew like a giant meteorite was headed our way, is going to wipe out the earth in a week, or, you know, just. So that document is confirmed from the government. Australia is blocking outgoing news. I don't know what algorithm or specific words they're seeking out, but they are doing that. I can confirm that. Many Australians are confirming that to me as well. You should see the Aussie Kazakhs video from like 2 or 3 days ago. He films these detectives coming in because there's going to be a protest, and it happened yesterday. And you should see the Aussie Kazakh. They give him a thing saying he's going to go to jail for 5 years, and if he goes within like a 7-kilometer radius of downtown Sydney, and there's another map of another kilometer radius of another spot. They just didn't want him to show up, so he would film it and show it to the world. I can demonstrably say beyond any shadow of a doubt that Australia is working pretty darn hard to keep information of this heavy-handedness, as I'll put it lightly, from leaking out of Australia. They are absolutely doing that, no ifs, ands, or buts, period. I've got so much confirmation on that, it's not even funny. You can deny it all you like, I know better. Yeah, good luck to those so-called cops. You know, they're spraying old women and pushing them to the ground and then spraying them again. Once again, I love Australia, but let me say, Australia, you are embarrassing yourself. And listen, there's a lot of bad stuff that's not good in this country too. I could point out a million things, okay? So, I'm not trying to single out Australia, please, okay? BBC is warning of permanent food shortages. A lot of people in England are reporting that. I can personally report to you, and this is, I sit in this town of Lexington, which is on a major artery corridor, not just one, but mainly I-75, which is the major north-south corridor. It is not like some sort of isolated, you know, podunk place where I am right now. I can tell you, every grocery store in town, every major one, I've been to all of them multiple times over the past many weeks, and it is getting worse. Period. It is getting worse. Not my feeling or belief. It is getting worse. I'm not a doom and gloomer, you know, Chicken Little, the sky is falling stuff. Even a broken clock is right twice a day, so. Regardless of the source of this, if you don't have a few months of food, non-perishable stuff, which you should be, you know, you would normally eat anyway, you're making a big mistake. I think this is like the 3rd or 4th time I've said that. People talk about storing water. It's just, to me, it is absolutely ridiculous and stupid to store water. Not that there's anything wrong with it, but water filtration, yeah, not water, okay? Look, both, definitely, but, you know, don't hoard big amounts of water. You know, there's water everywhere. You just need water filtration, good water filtration. It's been confirmed by, I'm going to call him Fauci, which means fake energy. Fauci said, Fauci said that the government is talking about travel restrictions. Well, good luck with that. I can see a dismantling of our supply lines and our economic infrastructure, where everything just kind of collapses in on itself like a deck of cards. It's like, well, we didn't do it. It's like, no, you're the one that kept pushing the dominoes from the outside, knowing which way they're going to fall. I'm not going to make a conspiratorial statement when I say this now, but I can tell you with 100% certainty that all of this has been planned through supercomputer algorithm. If this happens, then what happens then? If that happens, then this and this and this. If you actually have enough statistics to plug into an algorithm, you can actually make extremely accurate predictions. So accurate, it's like you're consulting with the world's best genius rubbing a crystal ball that could see into the future. The predictions are that accurate. That is a demonstrable fact. So, with enough statistics about how humans behave and what causes what to happen, just like like three-dimensional chess. That's all these algorithms are, is like a type of three-dimensional chess. You plug in all the statistics and you make them as accurate as possible. If we do this, then what happens, then that happens, then this happens, then this happens, and this happens. So all of this has been war-gamed on supercomputers. I can assure you of that 100%. Whatever you think the source of it is, I don't really care, and I'm not going to speculate on. At least not for this video, anyway. But food shortages are getting worse. I've been sent a lot of videos by places that repair trucks, which of course deliver food and other vital supplies. And there are extreme part shortages. And there's these places that only have 1 or 2 or 3 trucks, waiting to be fixed. Their whole lots are full because they can't get the parts to fix them. And since the trucks are sitting there idle, because things break down, especially truckers, that are driving their vehicles hard, they wear down, they break parts. Normally that's not an issue. They got to put, well, give us 2 hours, we're going to fix it. Now they're sitting there for days and weeks, needing to be repaired, can't do anything. Not only are people not showing up to work, not only are there supply shortages, but the supply shortages are causing issues with the parts that actually feed the trucks, which supply the supplies to compensate for the supply shortage. So it's not only a circle of stupidity, it's absolutely abysmal. So, oh, Canada. Yeah, I mentioned about I can't say Saskatchewan now. I was reading that government document. So what's going on in Alberta? The head of Alberta apologized profusely because he wanted to keep the country open. I know about the province of Alberta, even though I've never been there, from people that live there. I've known about it for decades, that Alberta is kind of like the southern United States. It's like they don't bow down to totalitarian, California, New York, and New Jersey type stuff. You know what I mean? The eastern provinces are like California, New York, and New Jersey. The western provinces are kind of like the southern United States, where they say, go suck an egg. We're the land of freedom, and we're not going to listen to you. So apparently Alberta has caved, has folded up like a cheap card table. I was told by another person in Alberta they were sitting in a diner eating lunch, and everybody's phones had an alarm, went or whatever sort of sound it makes. And then the whole place got silent, some sort of emergency declaration like it's the end of the world in Alberta, while everybody's sitting there in their diner. I guess they have the phone number of every person in Alberta, and they're just going to text message you. I don't know if you know, you're not in America. We have NOAA weather radio alert, like there's a tornado coming. It will immediately, whether you agree to it or not, will send this nasty alert message that will scare the hell out of you, And apparently that's what the folks in Alberta were sent. Like, emergency, danger, Will Robinson, danger. It's not funny at all. So, I was preparing my cabin today. I was up in my cabin, up in the woods. I got a lot of food there and stuff, and man, I really hope nothing's... America is not going to tolerate stuff like what's going on in Australia and Canada. They're just not. They will not. California, New York, or New Jersey would, and Chicago would, Where else? Washington State, Oregon would, but most of America will not. But that's a subjective statement of mine, okay? It's not declarative, it's subjective. So, you should probably find that video of that old woman being pepper sprayed, shoved to the pavement, and then sprayed again, endangering her life, and spread that all over the world. Oh God, Australia, what is wrong with you? This is what, now you think this is me talking right now, okay? Like, oh, you're just expressing your opinions. I'm telling you right now that the words that are coming out of my mouth are the exact same words that I've been sent in comments and text messages and from thousands of Australians. This is what they're telling me. I'm just repeating what they're saying. I hate to tell you this, Australia, and since Australia is really not making any news here. I mean, like none, like less than 1%. 99.9% of Americans, Australia, I'm sorry to tell you, are utterly oblivious to what's going on in Australia. They're just happy, fat, and stupid, going to Walmart, buying their Twinkies and Ho-Hos and Doritos, going home, watching reruns of Alf or whatever the hell it is they watch. I hate to tell you that, Australia, but hopefully this gets more exposure. Some people are not bothered by the shame of the horrible things that they do to their citizens. Most people, are embarrassed by it. Some are not. I don't know where Australia falls in that, but I can tell you for absolute certainty that Australia is absolutely doing a good job of silencing as much information as possible coming out of there about what's happening. Of that, I have absolutely no doubt whatsoever. And that's not just my position, that's the position of countless thousands of Australians have told me as much, and even sent me demonstrable evidence that they're being silenced from communicating information to people. So, thank God for VPNs and the dark web, though, right? You got an internet connection, you know how to get information out there, you can get it out there. Whew. Crikey. Even Paul Hogan is pissed. Several Australians recently told me that. Even Paul Hogan's pissed, mate. Yeah, you got Paul Hogan pissed off, things are bad. He's essentially like the two-legged version of the Australian flag. I know he's not really, for God's sakes, but he's a kind of sort of symbol of Australia, at least to foreigners' eyes. When that guy is complaining and upset, and I don't tell you something. Anyway, peace out, Girl Scout. Fair dinkum, I. Stiff upper lip, Australia. We love ya. Hate to hear what's going on down there. And in Canada, too, so. Damn. I mean, damn.